Game Breaker TV.
This is Ed Park, aka Taugrim. Today, BioWare lifted the non-disclosure agreement on Star Wars The Old Republic. So I'm excited to show you my preview of the Commando Advanced class. The core resource for this class is ammo. You start off with a full clip of 12 and you expend it on special abilities. The important thing to know is that ammo regenerates at a non-linear rate. The less ammo you have, the slower it regenerates. If you're out of combat, you can regenerate ammo and your health by using a channeled ability called Recharge and Reload. If you're in combat, there is a 2-minute cooldown ability called Recharge, which will instantly grant you 6 ammo. Commandos can buff their assault cannon with one of 3 cells: an armor-piercing cell, which increases armor penetration, a plasma cell, which is a chance on hit proc for damage over time, and a combat support cell, which is my personal favorite. It has two cool effects. The one is that it allows you to cast Hammer Shot, which is a spammable, non-ammo consuming ability on a friendly target, and it will place a lightweight hot on them. As you can see, you can use this on the run, so it's really helpful for mobile healing. And it also enables you to build up 30 stacks of Supercharge, which provide a 3% buff to all of your damage and healing. There are 2 DPS trees for Commando, Gunnery and Assault Specialist, and 1 healing tree called Combat Medic. Now, regardless of which tree you spec in, you do get a baseline set of tools to work with. The trees simply buff how effective you are in a given specialization. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Huttball Warzone. Huttball is a capture the flag based game with a twist. You can pass the flag to your friendly players, and the goal is to get the flag across the opposing team's goal line and outscore them. Now, this has a lot of obvious implications for the playstyle of a commando. As far as tips and tactics go, you should always pre-charge your combat cell before engaging the enemy. You can do this by spamming Hammer Shot on a friendly in the waiting area before the match even starts, and this will ensure that you have the maximum 3% buff to damage and healing. Commando has some excellent AoE abilities. Right here I am using Mortar Volley to shell a clustered group of opponents around the flag. Mortar Volley is a 3-second channel, has a 1-minute cooldown. And right here I'm overextended. I came forward too much, and as a result I'm taking focus fire and I get CC'd. So I break the CC, pop a point blank AoE knockback called Concussive Charge, use a mitigation bubble called Reactive Shield, and then use terrain to break line of sight and heal up. A Commando has 2 cast time heals. The first is a flash heal called Advanced Medical Probe. It has a 1.5 second cast time and a 12-second cooldown, and we also get a spammable greater heal called Medical Probe, which after the patch now has a 2.5 second cast time untalented. I find a friendly player here being attacked by 2 Imperials, so as I'm running over I use Hammer Shot to heal him and then pop off a greater heal and then flash heal, and he's taking so much damage I'm not going to be able to keep him up, so I go ahead and stun the Sorcerer and then finish off the other player with a Stock Strike, which is a rifle butt, and start attacking this player here. One thing to note, in the war zones, the level bracket is open, so you can play people from level 10 to level 50, so that person I just killed was a level 20 and I'm level 16. It's really helpful to set your raid bars to maximum width for ease of targeting, and here you can see I'm healing up a friendly player, and by having a wider bar, I have a better sense of how much health they have, and it's easier to click on the bar to heal them. So to offset the level differences, there is a bolster mechanic. It basically will buff up your stats and your damage. What it won't give you are talent points or abilities that are trained at higher levels. Right here I have both of my CCs on cooldown, Cryo Grenade and Concussive Charge, so I strafe kite around the terrain here, heal up, and then since I'm still taking damage and getting at pretty low health, I use an air vent here to create separation. Air vents will punch you up in a random direction. As it turned out, it punted me up in a good direction away from the enemy player and I was able to heal up. The fun thing about playing a Commando, it offers a really dynamic playstyle. So here I'm rotating between healing a friendly player, a CC an enemy player up on this ramp with a cryo grenade, and we finish him off. Switch back to DPSing the Sith Warrior here, and I knock him back to apply a snare effect. And then as soon as he drops, I start doing cast time heals on that smuggler. And while you're healing, you can pan the camera around to check your surroundings since you're not moving anyway. It's really helpful to do this in Huttball because you really need to have your head on a swivel, given that you can be attacked from almost any direction. Hammer shot is really good ability to use on the run, so I'm using it to follow this friendly flag carrier, and I make a mistake here. I try to use a cast time heal, but that little mini barrier there cuts off the cast time. So you need to make sure when you're trying to heal friendlies as much as possible to get an open line of sight.
Somebody's coming right at me.
Here's another good example of the dynamic play of a trooper. So here I'm applying some heals, and then whenever I can, I switch over to DPS the target. One thing I noticed in this match is I didn't use full auto, which is a channel single target ability, a lot, or charge bolts. Those are both good abilities. The main thing to note is that the full auto, as a channeled ability, there's a delay before the damage starts ticking, and since it's channeled and charge bolt is a cast time spell, they can both be interrupted. But they're both really, really good. I just happened to notice in this video I wasn't making a lot of use of them, mainly because we're moving around so much, and that's just the nature of Huttball. I'm trying to keep the flag carrier alive. He's taking a lot of damage, so he's going to get dropped in a moment, and a trooper comes over and knocks two of those players off the walkway. And then I use my knockback here to punt an opposing player into a hazard and to really bury him in terms of health. So he was at almost full health, and then he's dropped down because of the fire hazard to around 20%. So here I'm using full auto, that channeled ability. He closes the gap to me, and I'm standing on the edge of the fire. I'll talk about that in a minute, but it's really helpful to do so because it'll force melees who try to charge you to land in the fire. I'm taking some heavy damage. The Sith Warrior and Jedi Knight classes can pump out some pretty substantial burst damage in melee range, so I drop down to the bottom here and force him to make a decision whether or not to follow me down, and he doesn't, so I'm able to heal up.
Just pass it, pass it.
So we've got the Huttball. Unfortunately, we're in the pit by their base, so it's actually really hard to get out of here if you're not a Jedi Knight, to have that force leap ability to charge out of here. And I'm trying to support another player here, but we're outnumbered pretty badly. And in general, the pit by the opposing base is a very bad place to hang out. Whenever people res up, they will see you in their pit, and they will come and smash your face in. So we're gradually getting worn down here. Unfortunately, there's not much that I can do. And I should have started kiting out of here earlier, but I didn't. And I was thinking, well, I'd probably have enough time to get over to one of the little buff icons in the match. So you'll see in the corner of the maps there are different buffs that you can pick up. So there's a full heal buff right in front of me, but I waited too long to get over to it, and as a result I get CC'd and then burned down. That was my first death in the match. And then you can use the map to locate the flag carrier, where of course you can just look for that big glowing beam of light. And here's a tip. After using mortar volley, I go ahead and I'm standing on the edge of the green pool there, and you can see by putting the hazard between me and an enemy melee DPS, when a Sith Warrior charged over to us, he landed in the hazard, the green stuff, which snares him and will apply a significant dot effect, and he died.
Yeah, I can't move. I'm stuck. Totally.
So friendly Commando uses their cryo grenade to stun, and then I go ahead and use my knockback to put that melee DPS into the hazard there to die. And sometimes, if you're on the move, you won't have time to put up cast time heals, but you can always use hammer shot. Like right here, I'm using it to patch up this player as we're on the go, trying to catch up with the flag carrier. So unfortunately, our flag carrier gets burned down. I'm using pulse cannon there, which is a point-blank conal AoE channel, which is fantastic for defending nodes. I had to cut off the cast time because their team, basically 4 or 5 players, are now coming after me. And I've got reactive shield up. It's a 25% mitigation bubble that lasts, I think it's for 12 seconds. And I strafe up here, and I'm using terrain to hopefully break line of sight. And I get charged here in a second by a Sith Warrior. And then there are 2 enemy DPS who are coming up the ramp after me. So I'm taking some focus fire. I get CC'd. As soon as I'm out of it, I pop concussive charge to knock them off this platform. And I know I'm going to die, but I'm going to make them work for it. So I get dropped right here. I try to kite down to the lower level to see if I can squeeze off a heal, but I don't get down in time. So there's death number 2. And you can see there's just such a dynamic playstyle afforded. Right here, I'm able to stop the flag carrier in his tracks by using a cryo grenade so that our team can catch up to him, and then we burn him down. I just hopped onto a vent and I got punted backwards, so it is random where you go. It's not always the direction that you want. And this is one of my favorite things to do in this match. A lot of players here hanging out by a fire hazard, so I go ahead and knock that Imperial Agent. You can see she's on fire and she's about to drop, so I finish her off. Crowd control matters a lot in Huttball, more so than the other matches because of the potency of the hazards.
Yeah, get that heal. Quick targeting sucks.
You can use the terrain to your advantage here. I'm taking some focus fire. I'm stunned by the sorcerer, so I just punt her out of line of sight down into the pit. And this level 43 Sith Warrior is coming over to me. He stuns me, so I've got my reactive shield bubble up. I stun him with a cryo grenade, and then I kite back to my friendlies. So if he's going to follow me, he's going to subject himself to some pretty intense focus fire. Right there, I use Stalk Strike for the instant burst in melee range. It's a really good finisher. It crits for around 1500. And it's one of our best single target damaging abilities that's not channeled. I pull a double triple on the scoreboard, racking up over 100k in damage and in healing. I finished 3rd overall for healing in the match and 5th overall for damage, while suffering the fewest deaths with 2 and generating the highest number of total kills with 47, including 8 killing blows. So this really speaks to the flexibility of a Commando. It feels like a Swiss Army knife in PvP, and it has a really dynamic playstyle. And one fun feature about the war zones is you can pick the most valuable player on your side, so I vote for a player who had almost 200k damage and received 3 MVP votes in return. If you're looking for more content on the Old Republic, follow me on social media, and I highly recommend checking out Gamebreaker TV's weekly The Republic show. Take care.
Gamebreaker TV.